You letting go is not at all for them. It is 1,000,000,000% for you. So while you're telling yourself that if you let it go, they're getting a pass, and even they might feel like they're getting away with something, you are really just freeing yourself of the stress of being plagued by something you can't do anything more about. And the same applies in reverse. You not bending and folding and getting swept up in the emotion when they start trying to drag you back to when you were on crack and when you were a liar and a thief and when you did something strange for change. That refusal to not engage is you not feeding more fuel to the fire. They have the right to feel how they feel, even if they hate you and hope you die slowly. But you don't have to die.
Passion public service announcement. Passionate.
Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionate newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to another episode of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, passion no last necessary, your get you right guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, for yourself, and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I will never rob you of your right to feel what you feel, same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, we start each episode with affirmations to ensure that regardless of what we discuss and how it may make you feel, we have intentionally started on the highest possible vibration and correct frequency. Are you ready? Let's shift the energy upward. You are always welcome to repeat after me or to use this time to state your own affirmations. The past cannot confine me. The past does not define me. I accept responsibility for the wrongs that I've done. I take accountability for my transgressions and poor decisions. I make intentional and thoughtful effort to be and present the best version of myself daily. I shape my reality daily. I am free to move forward. I am free to walk with my head held high. I operate in integrity. I operate with dignity. I give thanks for all parts of the experience. I give thanks for the lessons I've learned. I give thanks for the lessons I've taught. I offer sincere apology for any damage I've done. I am healing. I am healing. It is well. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So Passionists, we're going to talk about a few things today, but they all tie in with each other. When I receive listener or viewer feedback, I take it under consideration. Sometimes I don't respond right away because I'm otherwise occupied and get distracted. And sometimes I just sit with it and I think long and hard before I respond. The reason I give it time to breathe is because I don't have the luxury of reactive response. So what do I mean by that? A lot of people are living on the edge all day, every day. Anything they don't agree with immediately gets the most heightened, ready to detonate a nuclear weapon type of reaction. People are hearing but they're not listening. And we talked about that in the silence episode. That was episode 11 from season 1. They're not listening to the people talking to them. And very often, they're also not listening to what's coming out of their own mouths. This is something that I deal with daily at work. They're quick to argue that you're the one that's not listening. And even if you played it back for them, you presented them all the receipts that everybody so loves, they're not humble about their error. Too often, they're even more obnoxious because you dared to correct them, which was clearly what they needed and definitely what they'll need lots more of. So they get to react to your statement. They get to react to you catching their error. They get to react to their perceptions. But in this position, the position I'm in, having, whether I was chosen or I was gifted or charged with the responsibility of relaying the message, I don't get to react egregiously. Part of that is because if I do, someone will make sure that that response circles the globe 10 trillion times and out of context. And instead of having a legacy of teaching and healing, which is what I am striving to build, I'll be staving off a reputation that I put no work into building, but now have to work twice as hard to quell and quash. Part of that is because when you have done or are doing the work, you recognize when people's trauma is speaking to you, and you have to choose whether you're going to respond to them or to their trauma. When I did the episode on insulation versus isolation, it prompted the question, which we talked about last week: does this episode discuss how to mend? That episode was 23 minutes and 49 seconds, including intro, commercial, and closing credits. The 20 minutes it would take to watch the episode on normal speed would have answered that question. But that would be an egotistical and assumptive response on my behalf. Because what if they were asking in advance, knowing they were going to watch the episode, but they were just asking? Any number of reasons the question could have been posed. The easiest thing for me to do was say no and offer to do an episode on that, despite whatever I might have felt. So done and done. Before I released that episode, I did the episode on legacy. Now, if you don't follow me on the socials, you don't know that I post snippets of the episodes. Now, there are two objectives to these snippets. One, the obvious, it's to promote, right? And two, it's to start the conversation. But when your intention is to start the conversation, you don't necessarily have control over what conversation it'll start or the direction the conversation may eventually go. Now, because people hear what they hear and they see what they see, the call to action advising the viewer that this is an excerpt, the season and episode it's from, where they can find the full episode, and how to directly access the episode from that platform somehow gets missed regularly. What happens instead is people see the clips, they comment on the clips, and they are ready to take up their sword under the false impression that I'm just talking crazy. Now, all of this talk about taking things out of context would lead you to believe that this is going to be an episode on context clues, but it is not. This episode was inspired by this clip being taken out of context. Don't cut off the world because people are out here peopling. People ain't gonna stop peopling because it hurts your feelings. You are not gonna stop youing because it hurts someone else, right? The response that it elicited and the next follow-up that it prompted. Now, had Sis seen the full episode, she would have known that literally the next sentence in the episode was the exact answer to her question. However, she made me aware that I did not address, in that episode, I did not address projection. Now, I've done one or maybe even a few PSAs on projection in the past, but I think we need to expound on it further, especially when it comes to healing. Passionists, are you particular about what you put on your skin and what you put in your hair? If you're anything like me, you're very specific about the ingredients of the products that you're using. And my good sis, LaShondra, has a product that's probably perfect for you. She calls it LaShondra's Essentials Strengthening and Nourishing Hair and Body Oil. And she infuses actual herbs into the oil. Let me give you, I have my phone in my hand because the list of of benefits of this product is so long. So I need to make sure that I tell you all of the things that it's good for. So if you have issues with eczema, psoriasis, alopecia, dermatitis, dry hair or scalp, dry skin, excess shedding and hair breakage, dark spots, brightening under eye circles, fading stretch marks, if you have burns or you have scars, this is the product for you, and it can be used as a massage oil or a beard oil. Now, I don't know how many products you have available to you that you can do all of that with, but I know for a fact that this product does that and more. I have used it. I stand by it. I am a fan of it. It takes only a drop. And the best part of this whole announcement is that my sis has been so gracious as to extend a 20% off offer for my passionates. And the code that you need to use is passionate for y'all. So head on over to her Etsy, etsy.com/shop/LaShandra's Essentials. You can use my discount code passionate for 20% off. If you did not want to go that route, you wanted to just go to the link below in the description box, do that, click the link, and the discount code is already applied as soon as you click the link. She also offers CMOS, so get into it. Go check out her site. Go check out her product, and thank me later. Let's get back to the episode. Okay, so once upon a time, I had a job that was paying just above minimum wage. It was either 12 or 15 hours per week, and it was close enough to home to walk, but it was 2 miles each way. Now, I didn't take that job because it was life-sustaining or because there was incredible room for growth. I took it because it allowed me to pour into others, work in the arts, and because I needed something while I worked at the arts. At the time, I was focused on acting. So because I had other things going on in the background, I was able to remain afloat, but absolutely not because of this job. Now, my direct supervisor and I had personality conflict. This individual was super sarcastic and too often super obnoxious. Now, our supervisor was a trip. And there were just too many issues to count, and I'm not going to give that more power than it deserves, right? The point is, when I had the opportunity to leave, there were a lot of decisions that needed to be made. The opportunity that was presented offered more money, a title that would allow a slight flex on my resume. It was even closer to home, and it still allowed me to pour into others. The risk that it posed to my peace was not one that could be overlooked, but I felt like the pros outweighed the cons, and even if they didn't, the money outweighed the struggle life. Now, this is never a good decision long term, but we will talk about that in another episode. Point is, I took the job. When I initially took the job, it was just a summer position. While in the summer position, another position was offered, and I ultimately took that. Apparently, that was extremely problematic for my previous supervisor. That person threw dirt on my name. They threw my name on the ground. They stomped on it whenever, wherever they could, and to whomever would listen. They did all of that to everyone except to me. Not once did I get a call, a text, an email saying, there's something that I want to ask you, or there's something I want to discuss with you. When I saw them, they never pulled me to the side and said, oh, listen, I want to talk to you for a second. It's an important addendum, but it's not quite the point. When another friend from that same location had an opportunity to go further and spread their wings, the same supervisor blocked them. The supervisor stood in my friend's way because they didn't want my friend to move on and leave them behind. And they abused their authority because they wanted to be able to control my friend's growth. Kind of like, you can grow when I say you can grow type of thing. Passion, what does this have to do with projection? The simple answer is control. When you're projecting your feelings and interpretations on someone else, it's a way of controlling them or the situation. This supervisor could not control people's attachment to them or the location. They could not control their employees' desire for more, and their need to control all of the above was a projection of their own lack of control and loyalties in their personal life. What they couldn't get at home, they sought elsewhere. When they couldn't control my growth, they then tried to control the narrative about me. They wanted to shape other people's perception of me negatively because they were harboring animosity. They felt abandoned, so they wanted to paint me as the bad guy. Boy. Passion is, there are people who will do anything to keep you from moving forward because they want to take the credit for your accomplishments, which is controlling your progression. There are people who refuse to get past something that transpired between the two of you, and they are hell-bent on you not getting past it either. Some of them get downright offended at the idea of you healing. That is not your issue. That is not your problem, and that is not your bag to carry. Leave that luggage right at the baggage claim. Why am I saying this? The comment that inspired this episode was this: try raising a child with someone that throws your past traumas in your face and consistently tears you down while you try to keep family going. Any grievance you bring up is considered a disrespect, and immediately a past trauma is thrown in your face to hurt you. Now, does this person watch the podcast? Probably not. At least not up until this post. So it's probable that they missed this. Okay, and that's fine for those people who aren't still dealing with what that person caused. But I'm still dealing with it. How do I mend or heal from that when it keeps coming up? Every time I try not to deal with it, it's looking me in my face again. It's like I can't get away from it. Accept the thing for what it is. And reasonably, the next question is, well, do you know how hard that is? And I believe I made it clear in that episode that yes, I do know how hard it is. I know it firsthand, right? So going back to where we talked about reactive response, sis was vexed with me because she's being re-traumatized regularly for old trauma that she's already experienced. And now, without seeing that the post was an excerpt from an episode and not just like some randomly placed indictment or assault on her experience, she responded from her current trauma. But I couldn't meet her there. I couldn't come with the forest of palm trees and shade her down to my, well, if you would have read the caption or the big purple screen that said this was an excerpt, yada, yada, skip. Instead, I had to gently advise her of her oversight and find the value in her response. Beloved, that is what healing looks, sounds, and responds like, even when someone is trying to control the narrative, even when someone is trying to control the perception, even and especially when someone is projecting their hurt that has nothing to do with you onto you. Because a different version of me. But I found some act right. And that's a good place to give God a hand clap of praise, Passionists, because those who know. But so while I know and understand the complexity and the challenge of being the bigger person, especially when you weren't wrong, I also know what it is to actually have been wrong or to have caused damage or hurt and to apologize for something over and over, and no apology or action is enough to let it be finished. And I know it from both sides, right? I know it from the side of the one who's apologizing, and I know it from the side of the one who's due the apology. So if I'm speaking from the perspective of the person in the wrong, I accepted what I did. Okay. I accepted that they were big mad about it. I hadn't accepted that they didn't want to let it go because I couldn't understand why they couldn't move past it. I still didn't understand it, even having been on the opposite side of the coin. Remember how in How to Mend, I said that in my valley experience, I wanted justice and I wanted vindication. And honey, when I came out of the valley, here comes somebody raggedy son trying to friend me up and talk nice. What is the devil is a liar? I'll take GTFOH WTBS for 2000, Alex, please. Because wait, who are you? Why are you here? Go back. It took a lot of thinking to fully grasp that in our own injury, we want the other person to feel what we feel and how we feel it. So we project. I can't make you hurt, or I can't make you hurt enough because of what you did. but I can try to hurt you in any way I can so that while you're not hurting the same way I am, you're hurting at the same time I am. And since I refuse to let go of what you did, because I don't ever want you to think that was okay, I try to hurt you as often as possible or as often as it comes to mind so you stay reminded that you hurt me. That's the mentality. And it is a rarity to find someone guilty of this, but unashamed and emboldened enough to admit it. And either way, beloved, and I cannot stress this enough, that is not your bag to carry. Leave it on the carousel. When you were in school, you probably had a teacher that you absolutely couldn't stand. Whether you liked it or you liked them or not, they were going to be your teacher for the entirety of the school year. So you only had two options. Option one, go to class and deal with them. Option two, drop out of class. Now, you dropping out of class or dropping out of school wasn't going to invalidate their degree. It wasn't going to short their check. And it wasn't going to determine whether or not they were going to come to work. If you dropped out, the only person that it would have negatively impacted long-term or lifelong would have been you. So you dealt with them, right? So did you ever have to deal with someone who leaned on your nerves like a sibling or a classmate? Did you ever get to the point where you just ignored their nonsense? And then what happened? Did they eventually stop? Because here's the thing. People will do a lot to get someone's attention and keep it. Again, they're fighting for control. When you stop giving energy to it, they'll either go harder to make you pay them mind, which is only making them look crazier, or they'll stop and try to get your attention another way. Ignoring something or someone that's bothering you, yes, it's challenging because it isn't necessarily less of an irritant, but while it may still irritate you, the experience will be totally different. When you realize that they're trying to control how you feel because they can't figure out how to control how they feel, the game changes indefinitely. Now, again, as a person who was wrong, and I keep speaking from this perspective because of sis and whatever condemnation she's receiving for whatever past transgressions, right? But if you were the wrong one, it's really, you're right. I was wrong. What I did was a travesty. I can't undo it. I can't unhurt you. And truthfully, at this point, going over it again won't make me feel any worse, whether it's because I can't or because I choose not to. And that doesn't mean that I don't feel bad. But at this point, I can only strive to do different or better going forward. And while you're entitled to your anger, I'm not agreeing to self-destruct with you. I'm not going to die to make you happy because it still won't undo anything that's been done. So you can be mad about it, but you trying to make me angry or hurt me is only you outwardly projecting your need for me to feel something for you. I hurt you then, but you're hurting you now. Now, you don't have to say this to the person, and if you choose to, do remember that you can't control their response, even though you are 1,000,000% right. But you need to come to terms with this for your own peace. And I say all of this knowing how completely infuriating it is to hear something like that from someone you know is only saying it because they've wronged you and don't want to accept responsibility or take accountability for their actions. Same way still, you letting go is not at all for them. It is 1,000,000,000% for you. So while you're telling yourself that if you let it go, they're getting a pass, and even they might feel like they're getting away with something, you are really just freeing yourself of the stress of being plagued by something you can't do anything more about. And the same applies in reverse. You not bending and folding and getting swept up in the emotion when they start trying to drag you back to when you were on crack and when you were a liar and a thief and when you did something strange for change. That refusal to not engage is you not feeding more fuel to the fire. They have the right to feel how they feel, even if they hate you and hope you die slowly. but you don't have to die. You don't have to give any air to their tirades or their outbursts. While they're talking their stuff, you can sit quietly and let them go and go. And then when they come up for air or they run out of steam, get back to the business that needs to be done. Arguing with them is agreeing to them controlling your feelings. You're not going to change their perception of you, even if you do everything right for everyone, everywhere, every day for the rest of your life. They will see you how they see you until they choose to see you another way. Let them. If they want to drag the steamer trunk and the rolling luggage and the shoulder bag and the clothing rack with the dress bags and the carry-on bag and the briefcase and the laptop bag and the baby bag and the purse, let them. You don't have to be anybody's bellhop while they're on their staycation in hell. Now, I think I covered it for real this time, okay? What you tell me what you think. Drop your comments, questions, concerns, commendations, or criticisms below. Listener letters can be sent to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. Whether you're viewing or listening on your preferred platform, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and share. Help me help others help themselves. If you would like to be a financial contributor to the pod, donations can be made via Podbean, PayPal, Cash App, Linktree, or Zelle. All the links are in the description box. Every little bit helps. It all goes back into the pod. It's your Get You Right Guru. I'm signing off, y'all. Go forth. Be great. Be filled with bliss. Be armed and empowered with knowledge. Remember that you don't have to hold on to it because they refuse to let go of it. They are trying to hold you hostage because they are hostage to their own feelings. But that's a choice that they are making for themselves. Don't consent to them making that choice for you. Constantly reminding you of where you've fallen short is a method of control. People who can't control themselves seek to control others so they can feel like they're in control of something. The constant condemnation and attempts at control are byproducts of projection. Our perception is our reality. So what we perceive, we project onto others, but many of those projections are rooted in hurt. So when people are projecting false realities onto you, remember, responding to the projection is responding to their trauma, not their rationality. So be prepared to get an irrational response or reaction. Remember that we only have one more episode this season, and then we'll be going to September. But above all this, in all things be passionate. See you later.